we are going to have an amazing, did I say amazing? Yeah, I said an amazing interview today. This is Roberto Monaco here with Influenceology and the Car Speaking Company. And today I have a co-host, Dr. Jean Guy, all the way from Lansing, Michigan. Some of you know Dr. Jean Guy. He's always doing interviews. I'm always interviewing him. He's an amazing health leader in Lansing, Michigan, a chiropractor, a brother, and a mentor of mine. And today you have the amazing, look at the bio, the size of the bio, just tell us the powerhouse we're about to interview. Pastor Dave, first of all, welcome, Pastor Dave. So excited before introducing
Thank you, Roberto.
Here.
Great to be with
you. We're going to have a good time today. And Pastor Dave served the Mount Hope Church, which changed my life, by the way, in Lansing, Michigan for over 30 years. Leading from a handful of people all the way to 80,000 members, which is fantastic. Pastor Dave is an international best-selling author. He wrote 60 books and sold over 2.5 million copies. I want to know the secret sauce of that too. It's amazing. Through his career, he has raised and given to missions over $40 million in projects to help people. And currently, he lives in Florida. And he coaches other pastors, leaders, super achievers, and he's the founder of the legendary Club 52. Pastor Dave, thanks so much for being here. Welcome, brother.
Great to be with you. Thanks, Roberto.
Super excited. So the first question that I have for you today is, why did you become a pastor? What's the story behind that?
Well, the story behind it is I met Jesus, got filled with the Holy Spirit, and started a Bible study in my home. I never really wanted to be a pastor. But in 1978, I got a picture here, 1978.
I love it.
Mary Jo and I went out to Christ for the Nations, where she graduated from. That was her Bible school. And there was a conference going on that we were visiting. And there was somebody there named Chuck Flynn, who was a prophet, and I'd never heard of prophets. I mean, here I'd been a Christian since November of 1971, but I never heard that there were still prophets in the church. And he said, if you want me to prophesy over you, you can stay after. Well, Mary Jo and I got in line, right with Dutch Sheets. I'm sure you've heard of Dutch Sheets and his wife, Celia. And this guy laid hands on us, and he said to me, your ministry is about to change. Don't be afraid. And then he didn't know Mary Jo was pregnant with our first child. She wasn't showing, but he knew it. And he prophesied over her, over Dutch and Celia. And he said, when you get back home, that your phone is going to ring with an opportunity. He said, don't miss it because it's God. Well, I got home, the phone was ringing, and it was the pastor of our church. And he said, Dave, how would you like to be my associate? And I had already had all my education done. I'd already had my credential papers. So I said, well, I'm really, and then I remember that prophecy. I said, okay, I'll come and talk to you about it. I had to leave a really good paying job. I worked at the Board of Water and Light, and I was on an upward trajectory, but God called me, and I went and was his associate. So I gave up this really big job for $125 a week. The first 6 weeks, it was $25. But God brought us through, and he told me a secret. He said, I don't have any dream anymore. He said, I'm retiring next year. And he said, every church I ever pastored fell apart after I left. He said, I was hoping I could take you under my wing for a year, and maybe they would ask you to be their pastor, and the church would survive. And through a process, that's what happened. The next year, I became pastor. He retired, moved to Washington State, and I became pastor of this 125-member church. And the rest is history. You said 80,000. that's globally. That includes our
Yep.
West Africa churches and our Asia churches as well. But the local church, we grew to 6,000 adherents, people that called it their church, and it was just a move of God. I was really glad I obeyed.
That is just so inspiring. So what was how about to make that kind of move? Were you afraid? Did you have a lot of uncertainty? And how did you deal with that uncertainty?
Oh, of course, I had the uncertainties. I asked God for confirmation that this was really Him, and I got 17 confirmations. Every time I picked up a book or a newspaper, there was a confirmation flashing at me to that this is. And I took one final drive through the bank where my wife worked, and I said, "Are you sure?" And she said, just go resign from Board of Water and Light and do it." And I said, "Okay, that's it." And that was it. The rest is history.
That's so inspiring. I love to hear stories like that. I love that. Just going for it. So I had an opportunity to visit Mount Hope Church in Lansing, and I also had an opportunity to speak at the Gilead Healing Center, and I was blown away because at the beginning, when Dr. Joguin invited me, I didn't know the connection between the Gilead Healing Center and the church. I thought it was disconnected. But then one experience I understood, and I couldn't believe the magnitude of both the church and the Gilead Healing Center. So why did you develop the center, the healing center?
Well, I had a dream for it all the way back to 1983, but what happened was we had a 54-year-old woman named Kate who was one of my big supporters. In fact, when I became pastor, she threw her hat up in the air and yelled, "Yippee." You know, she was a very unconventional church member, but I just loved this woman. I get a call one night, she's dead. And I just couldn't believe it. And when we found out why she was dead, it was because of a drug contraindication, two drugs that fought each other and killed her that night. It was an adverse ADR, they call them adverse drug reaction. So that that tore me up. Then we had a young 26-year-old woman in the choir, beautiful young lady, went in for knee surgery and never came out. She didn't survive the drugs they gave her. A lady named Sharon in her 60s got a bacterial infection, and there was no antibiotic that could cure it because she had been given antibiotics all her life. Earache, give her an antibiotic. Sore throat, give her an antibiotic. And nothing would work. She was immune to all the antibiotics that could have saved her life. Then to top it off, I came in to work and I said, our receptionist, Penny, I said, "Where's Penny?" "Oh, she died last night." What was it? An adverse drug reaction. And so I said, that's it. I got a ticket to Austin where I found there's this big health conference where they had DCs, NDs, MDs, and all these that are coming together, both alternative and complementary. So I went out there. Andrew Wheel was there, Marcus Lowe, some names you would probably know. And I started learning about ADRs, adverse drug reactions. This one naturopathic doctor was there. He said his dad was in the hospital. He had purple blotches all over him. And they said, yeah, this is because he's getting ready to die. This always happens. And the ND said, no, this doesn't always happen. He says, I'm checking my dad out. And they said, you can't do that. And he said, well, I'm doing it. And he took his dad out of the hospital and started him on some natural products, and then got him walking up the stairs and down the stairs, up the stairs and down the stairs. What happened? Everything reversed, and his dad lived a long life. I started hearing these stories, and so I came back and I said, prayed, and the Lord said, I want my embassy to be here on earth, and you're to name it Gilead Healing Center. And so I said, okay, I don't have the money, but we're going to break ground for Gilead Healing Center, and it's going to combine, it's going to be a kinder, gentler approach. Because here's what happened, Roberto. I went to Africa. I'd been to South Africa 9 times. We had um, a theological school there that we supported. And, you know, every year or so, I would go there and minister to the students. And the missionary had a son named Dennis that worked in New York that had some disease that was an autoimmune disease, and his body was eating itself. And the medical people said, this is incurable. You're going to die. Well, he said, at least I want to see my parents one more time. He bought a ticket to Cape Town, South Africa, and it took every ounce of strength he had just to get on the plane and get off the plane. He got there, and his mom and dad had connections with this, I think it was a homeopathic doctor in South Africa. And they had to give him these drops every 15 minutes. So they had to go to sleep for 12 minutes and wake up and give him the drops. And they gave him these drops for several days, and he started getting better until he was totally healed. I mean, totally healed from these drops. And I said, that's the way things should be approached first. You know, if you have to have medical treatment, let it be just a bridge until you can get back to the natural way God intended. And so I said, I want Gilead to be a kinder, gentler approach where we'll give people whatever Dr. Jean Guy's protocol would be first. Let's do that. And then if need be, get medical treatment. We're not going to be against medical treatment. Get medical treatment, but then just use it as a temporary bridge to get where you need to get to do it the kinder, gentler way. And so one half of Gilead was designed to be, we call it the medical side. That's where the chiropractors and the DOs and cardiologists were. And on the other side was what we called the care side, counseling and prayer. We combined it all, like Oral Roberts, you know, combined prayer and faith. Counseling, all that would be on one side, and all the physical attention would be on the other side. And right in the middle, we'd have that symposium where you spoke.
Yeah.
And that would be for seminars and conferences like you're going to have in July. And we dedicated
the natural and the supernatural coming together, which is truly amazing about Gilead, of being able to bring those two together. And we are so excited about our training there in July, which is less than a month. And excited to have Pastor Dave, because ultimately had the vision and others for Gilead Healing Center. And we are honored to have him, and looking forward to have him. And I'd like to maybe have Pastor Dave just give us a few words of what you're going to be teaching us at the training there. It's going to be, actually, if you guys don't know, if you're listening right now or watching this, it will be on July 15th, 16th, and 17th. And on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we're going to do half day in the afternoon on Thursday afternoon, all day on Friday. And then Saturday morning, keynote speaker will be obviously our famous Roberto. That will, he's going to tell us in a minute what he's going to be teaching us. But I want Pastor Dave right now to give us a few words about what's going to be, what's on your heart, and what you're going to be telling us while we're there at the training.
Okay. Well, as you know, we built Gilead debt-free. we started with nothing. We built it debt free. People just jumped on. God did that. Well, you asked me to speak on the subject of the spirit of poverty. Now, I know that sounds eerie, but there is such a thing as a spirit of poverty. I had it and didn't know it. And I found out there are many doctors that have it and don't know it. They don't know why they can't get ahead, why they've got $300,000 worth of uncollected work they've done on people that haven't paid. They don't understand that there is a certain spirit that can attract scarcity and can attract poverty. I didn't understand this until I was on a plane. I got a Success magazine, and there was a pastor that retired. He never made more than $12,500 a year, retired a millionaire. And so obviously I was interested in that. But I did at Mount Hope Church conference for people called the Wealth Creation Conference. There were many doctors there. I was impressed with a number of doctors from the Beaumont Health Center. They were making $400,000, $450,000 a year, and they were broke. And we had a guy making $30,000 a year, and he was more wealthy than the ones making $300,000 a year. Why is that? Well, it's number one, spiritual. Number two, it's attitudinal. And number three, it's practical. There are certain attitudes we can have and develop that will attract certain spirits that will make things go wrong in our lives financially. And so Club 52, we call it Millionaires with a Mission. So far, we have 31 new millionaires that have reported in from Club 52. We have 1,200 Club 52 Alliance members that we keep in touch with. And we're still doing it. We're going to do it again probably this fall. Club 52, we're probably going to have to do more sessions because we can only seat with desks at our training center. We can only seat 40 people comfortably, and we can seat 80 if nobody has a desk. So we might be doing, Group A and Group B, but we're going to do it again this year in the fall. And that's what we're going to talk about and help these doctors out. That's on July 16th, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah, I want to share the page with the event here. The lineup is fantastic. By the way, guys, for those who are watching or going to watch the replay, below the video here, there's a link for you to purchase the ticket. We have Dr. Rob Schiffman, which is a fantastic speaker. I had a chance to interview. At one point, he built up, if not the largest chiropractic practice in the world. Phenomenal, Dr. Ben Lerner, phenomenal leader, powerhouse speaker. We have this guy with an accent that's going to come all the way from South Carolina. I'll be talking about communication, speaking, get your message in front of more people. We have Dr. Matt Palmer from Ohio. We have Dr. Stephen Baker, which is, I know personally has a huge social media influence. With Dr. Ray Omid, also fantastic speaker. I had a chance to interview him. He's going to be speaking. And the rock star, Pastor Dave Williams, will talk about how to eliminate the spirit of poverty. And by the way, this is applicable to anybody. I love absolutely Pastor Dave. I absolutely love the topic. And then we have my brother, my spiritual mentor, Dr. Jean Guy. He's going to deliver the goods. He's going to talk about how to bring up. I'm not going to say the topic. Let me ask him, Dr. Jean Guy, what are you going to talk about during the event? What are you going to talk about?
Well, what God's put on my heart for, a while now is, what does that look like to be a Christian in the marketplace? And I think that there's a lot of people that, you know, they have questions about that. Of what does that look like aside from being at church on Sunday or maybe on Wednesday or whatever that looks like in your life right now. But, you know, what does that look like on a day-to-day basis, especially at our offices on, you know, from one day to another, as we're seeing and caring for all those people through, you know, decades. And there's a lot of people that have questions about, you know, they're not sure how does that look like. And to be able to follow the Jesus model of leadership, again, what does that, you know, on a day-to-day basis, what does that really look like for every one of us? And I would like to share, you know, some of my personal journey over the past 2 decades for, you know, between my wife and I, of what we've been through and what does that look like. And I'm very excited about that because I believe that there is great application for every one of us to do God's work. And, you know, there's some people out there, they might be thinking, you know, I'm not an evangelist, you know, this is not my gift. And I can assure you that, you know, all of you have gift that God's giving you. And, you know, what does that, you know, understanding what those gifts are, right? And what does that look like on a day-to-day basis in the office with your patient, with your team, and the people around you, because you were called to make a difference. So I'm very excited about this topic and looking forward to, you know, not only for people to get information, but also to transform as a result of this training, because this will be practical. This is not just like another, you know, training that people are going to come in, they're going to hear some great information, then they're going to leave and they're going to get pumped up for a day or two. And then, you know, they're going to go back to their old ways, you know. So the objective here is, you know, all of those people that are lined up to be speaking there at Gilead Healing Center on those 3 days, well, they're just amazing people that are godly people that have done this for decades. And they are ready not only to give information, but to give practical ways of what you're going to get out of it on a Monday morning, to be ready to just, you know, hit the ground and run, and to be able to change your community, your town, your state, wherever you're in, and especially with what we've been through in the past, you know, the past 16 months or so.
Can't wait. I can't wait to participate in this event, to learn, to grow, to expand. Dr. Pastor, I keep Pastor Dave. I'm sorry, Pastor Dave. What has been one lesson that you learned since the pandemic started, since the last 15 months? Now in a tail end, right, moving forward. But what from a leader who has led thousands of people to God, spiritual man, coach, leader, writer, what has been one of the biggest lessons you learned during the last 15 months or so?
I think 2 things. Jesus said, in the last days, there's going to be deception everywhere. You're not going to know who's telling the truth unless you walk in discernment. Number 1, walk in discernment. And when people, whether they're politicians or medical people, are moving their mouths, discern, is this the truth? And number 2, always listen to Dr. Daigneault, because he can save you. He really can.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, Dr. Daigneault, thanks so much. By the way, guys, link below here. Go get your tickets. It's going to be fantastic. Gilead Healing Center is a beautiful place for events. I had an opportunity to speak there last December and had a phenomenal time. So get your tickets today. There's a link below here. Pastor Dave, thanks so much. God bless you. Thanks so much for being here today. Dr. Daigneault, God bless you. Thanks so much for being here today, brother. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.